Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Village of Bartlett Board meeting for February 17th. I call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Ahrens?
Here.
CAMERER?
Here.
Carbonaro?
Here.
Martin?
Here.
Ranke? Shipman?
Here.
President Wallace?
Here. I've asked Pastor Robert Taco from Jesus Journey Church to give our invocation this evening.
Thank you. I appreciate being invited back again. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all of the leaders of this village and those that serve this fine village. Lord, I ask you to bless their families, bless their homes, and bless them. Lord, for tonight's meeting, I ask you to bless the work of the hands. I ask that you would keep them in unity, not in uniformity, Lord, not that they would agree on every single aspect, but that their hearts would be in unity to better this village for your glory. So, Father, bless them, bless their conversations this evening, and bless the agenda and all that is going to take place. Father, we thank you for all of these things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor. And we've got somebody in the crowd working on their merit badge. Jonathan, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jonathan. When my son asked me when the meeting was, I didn't think he would be showing up. Moving right along, we'll go into the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk on the consent agenda are considered to be routine or be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless someone so requests, in which at that point the item will be removed from the consent agenda. At this point, is there anything that anybody would like to be added to the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Moved. Second.
It's moved by Trustee Martin, seconded by Trustee CAMERER. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Ahrens?
Yes.
CAMERER?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranke?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented for the February 3rd, 2015 meeting for both the board meeting and the committee of the whole meeting.
So moved. Second.
It's moved by Trustee Shipman, seconded by Trustee Ranke. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Ahrens?
Abstain.
CAMERER?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranke?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to the special guests that we have. Through the efforts of the Bartlett resident, Ray Daney, who's here in the crowd, and the village staff, former village president Bill Tiknis was recognized at the congressional level. Congressman Peter Roskam, which we welcome tonight. Thank you for coming, Congressman Roskam. Cordially accepted our request and spoke about Bill's accomplishments and contributions to our public and to the village of Bartlett. Bill's record was read to the 119th Congress on Wednesday, November 19th, 2014. We have a copy of it here, and we're very pleased to have Congressman Roskam here to read it into the record. So if you'd step up.
Well, President Wallace and members of the board and members of the community, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight to honor Tick. And just a word of, if I could just take a moment of personal privilege, and that is, you know, there's so many times in our community life and in our public life when we're faced with a lot of disappointment. And yet when we see people who have given of themselves consistently and forthrightly in answer to call to public service, it's really something to celebrate. So I would like, with your permission, Mr. President, to read these remarks that were now a part of the congressional record. And it says this: Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize the servants of Mr. Bill Tiknis, a resident of Bartlett, Illinois, in my congressional district. Bill Tiknis moved with his family to Bartlett in 1956 and dedicated his life in service to his community. He gave remarkable 55 years of service in jobs including serving as village trustee, village president, the founder and the president of the Bartlett Chamber of Commerce. He was a volunteer firefighter and later district commissioner of the Bartlett Fire Protection District and a charter member of the Bartlett Rotary and president of the Hanover Township Foundation. His leadership in these roles left an indelible mark on Bartlett and has created a lasting legacy. Apart from his time spent in local government, Tick helped organize youth baseball, football in Bartlett and created a Bartlett Park District. While he was village president, he helped preserve a town landmark by working to purchase Bartlett Hills Golf Club with overwhelming support from the community. The village now has the Bill Tiknis Golf Classic in his honor. And recently, the village of Bartlett has named the 7th of April as Bill Tiknis Day. And Hanover Township Administration renamed their building the Bill Tiknis Campus at a ceremony attended by over 200 community members and leaders. He's a true living legend in the village of Bartlett. Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues, please join me in recognizing Mr. Bill Tiknis as a wonderful example of citizenship and service and wishing him much success in the next chapter of his life. Respectfully submit.
Dick, you can have my chair.
Come on in, Kevin.
1, 2, 3.
Scott, that's a little better than your camera. Hair up there. It's probably easier here for you.
Huh?
Is it easier here for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still have to go across from. Is this on?
It should be.
We'll shut it off if you go too long, Dick.
I got the hook over here, Tim. I got the hook.
Pardon?
I got the hook. I can pull you out.
Okay. You don't know what a treat, an honor this is for an old man. And I didn't expect this at all. When they says to come up and so on and so forth, I thought, okay. But I didn't think that the Congressman would be here. I didn't think that my name would be bandied around the Congress. And, but I am honored, very much so. So I wrote a couple words here. Those of you who know me, know it won't be just a couple words. Anyway, good evening. It's nice to see so many old friends here, and just as nice to see some new ones. I can't thank you enough for being here, and all those responsible for tonight, Kevin, and for the great honor that you bestowed on me tonight. I thank Kevin for his efforts, and I am honored by the presence of Congressman Peter Roskam. I probably don't deserve this honor, but then again, I have arthritis and I don't deserve that either. Bartlett has been good to me and my family, and I've done my best to make Bartlett the great town that it is. Not just great, but the best. We came to Bartlett in 1956. We rented a house on Hickory Street, the last house on a dead-end street with an extra lot, just right for 3 small boys. Charlie, my wife, loved it, and she loved Bartlett. In fact, when I had an offer of a big promotion to Los Angeles, she said very emphatically, I ain't going to Los Angeles. So I had to turn it down. And we stayed in Bartlett. And probably it was the best thing I ever did. Making friends in Bartlett was easy. Everyone was a friend and would help you in any way they could. I met Putsy Schultz, a real character. Some of the old-timers here might remember Putsy. Putsy was a carpenter. He asked me if I had bought the house we were in. I said, no, we're just renting it. He said, well, don't buy one. When you're ready, I'll build you one. Oh. Fritz Beneke, owner of a gas station, an auto repair shop. He asked me if I played cards. I says, is the Pope Catholic? He says, join us. We play on Fridays. And the group consisted of most of the business owners in town. Besides Fritz, there was Ernie Jacobson, who delivered oil, Gus Ehlers, a John Deere dealer, and most worthy, our police chief, Ed Heinberg. Some of you might remember Ed, too, and a few others. I can't remember because they weren't regulars. We had a lot of fun, especially when we went to the chief's house. Whatever you were drinking that night, you got a full bottle all to yourself. And I don't know where the chief got the booze from. And Elmer Hecht, he didn't play cards, but he was our fire chief. And he introduced me to half of the people in town. And what a great guy he was. Later, I joined the Bartlett Men's Golf League. And again, what a great bunch of super people. You probably knew most of them you probably knew most of them. In later years, Harriet Gloss and her family, who owned Bartlett Hills, wanted to sell it. They were getting older and decided that they would sell it and enjoy their golden years. I was the mayor at the time and was contacted by a German company named Paramount Development Company. This was 1974. They were fine gentlemen and explained what their plans were. 1,851 residential units, about 5,000 people, and a guesstimate of 12,000 cars. As I said, they were fine people, and even they realized that what this would do to our small town, and they put no pressure on us. I felt that this development, especially where it would be located, would ruin our great little town. So I decided that we must resist this plan. The best we could do, we put together a group of people who agreed with me, and we named it the Bartlett Hills Preservation Commission. We decided that we would ask the citizens of Bartlett to support a referendum to buy the golf course ourselves. The commission worked hard to get out the vote, and the referendum passed 4-1. We now own Bartlett Hills. Some of the long ago people who worked hard for this project and later became our first golf course commission were, maybe you remember some of these people, Joanne Radkins, Harriet Pearson, Ken Lussey, Wayne Dickey, Fred Jacobson, and a whole bunch of volunteers. You may have known these people. I'm sure I missed someone or two, but if I did, blame it on my youth. After we were successful in the golf course now belonged to the people of Bartlett, we formed a commission of our citizens to operate the course. Some of those names were Joanne Radkins, Harriet Pearson, Ken Lussey, Wayne Dickey, Fred Jacobson, and myself. One thing that I was proud of, we hired Bob Gavlik to be our first golf pro. And Bob was our first and only golf pro until last year. Our commission did a good job, and we operated Bartlett Hills until Valerie became our first village administrator. And then we turned it over to her. And she's done a good job. I firmly believe that our efforts to acquire Bartlett Hills was the right thing to do, and I would do it again if I had to. I'll give you a little history. Going back a few years, before I got involved with Bartlett Hills and the rest of Bartlett and its government. I got involved because I couldn't believe or agree with the way the village was being run by our Board of Trustees. As an example, a company wanted to build a manufacturing building on West Bartlett Road, just west of the railroad tracks, and then next to Bartlett. Our village board turned it down. I asked why, and they said they didn't want that kind of building in our village. I said, but it's going to be there anyway. Why not get it and get the benefits? They said no. Another example, the owner of the corner of Lake Street and North Avenue, where the storage shed company is, wanted to annex to Bartlett and build a bowling alley. And again, they turned it down. I said, why? They said they didn't want a bowling alley in Bartlett. The property is still there with a successful business on it, but it's in Streamwood. That made no sense to me, so I decided to run for trustee and hopefully to make a difference. I worked hard and I tried my best and feel that we made a difference and were able to accomplish a lot. In fact, a short time later, we were honored with having the first locomotive on the Milwaukee Roads commuter system named the Village of Bartlett. We were finally recognized. We were instrumental in creating our park district. Again, the reason for why I got involved. Our park district, which today incidentally is doing an outstanding job for our community. When I brought up the idea of a park district, there was lots of negativity from some of our so-called leaders. They said, we don't need a park district. We have a lot of open space for our kids to play in. I told them, if you're so afraid of a park district, why don't you run for a commissioner's post and you run the park district? They took me up on that. The referendum passed, and some of these naysayers were elected and turned out to be the best park commissioners we had. So go figure. Are we a perfect community? No, but damn close. We have great leadership today, and I believe that our new crop of trustees will do a great job for us. And I must remind them, they are working for us and our families, our friends, and for generations to come, and no one else. And to all of our board members, new and old, I offer the following thoughts. Will you be the rock that redirects the course of the river? Will you be the keynote of progress we should remember is not only doing away with what is bad, it is replacing the best with something better. There are days when you won't have a song on your heart, sing anyway. I cannot give you the formula for success, but I can give you the formula for failure, which is try to please everybody. It doesn't work. Don't be afraid to take a big step if one is indicated. Remember, you can't cross a chasm in two small leaps. And God gave us all two ends, one to sit on and one to think with. Success depends on which one you use. Heads you win, tails you lose. And to my friends in the audience, don't hurry, don't worry, you're only here for a short visit. So be sure to stop and smell the flowers. Keep after your goals, don't give up. In the confrontation between the stream and the rock, the stream always wins, not through strength, but through persistence. And here's a test to find out whether your mission on earth is finished. If you're alive, it isn't. And I would like to close with these bits of knowledge for all of us. When a man points a finger at someone else, he should remember that 3 of his fingers are pointing at himself. Again, I thank you for what you've done for me tonight. And I want to close and say thank you for all the memories I have in my memory basket, which includes many of you, and these great words. I think the purpose of life is to be useful, to be responsible, to be honorable, to be compassionate. It is, after all, important that you matter, that you count for something, and that you have made some difference, that you lived it all. I tried, and again, thank you again.
Can we get a picture with you? And Congressman, can we get a picture with you of the whole board? That would be great.
You want me to push the chair and let you go by? Or why don't you give another speech?
On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Ryan, can you send us a copy of that? Thank you. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Oh, great. Now I gotta contemplate whether I'm the stream or the rock. Sorry. Confusion.
Can I add an anecdote to that?
What's that?
Can I add an anecdote?
Sure. I mean, we just...
I remember we had a pretty heavy-duty controversy in the village, and I hadn't been on the board for too long, so it was many, many, many years ago. And I got a note in the mail from Tick, and it ended with, I don't remember the exact words, but what he said was, pull your pants up and be a trustee, and don't worry about your next election. I always like that.
Thank you, Teal, for sharing that.
That photograph ever make it out?
Hmm?
Nothing.
And again, thank you so much, Tick, for your service. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
We'll move on here to finish the board meeting up so we can all go out and celebrate with Tick. Moving along, the next item on our agenda is question and answer time. Anybody have any questions for the staff at this point? Hearing none, we'll move on to the town hall portion of the meeting. This is the part of the meeting where anybody would like to address the board. Please step up to the podium, state your name for the record. Anybody like to address the...
My name is Ray Danny, and I have one question regarding Bill. We need to know whether or not he still has a valid expense account with the village, because he's invited us all back over to the. Well, we would have gone to Pasta Mia, but I understand they're closed for 2 days for remodeling. So we're going to the Tipsy Monkey, and he said that based on all the honors he's received this evening, he wants to know if his expense account is still valid.
I'll cover it, Ray, tonight. Thanks, Ray.
Hi there. My name is Martin McManaman. I'm the Highway Commissioner out here in Wayne Township. Our office is on Klein Road in West Chicago. Since taking office, I received a numerous amount of questions about future bike paths. So I hired a company by the name of Active Transportation Alliance, a nonprofit group, to aid me with working on this process. In the planning process, we formed a steering committee made up of representatives from each of the municipalities within the township, as well as the Forest Preserve. We surveyed the residents about roads that they would like to bike on and on roads that they find challenging for cycling. We held a public meeting attended by more than 30 residents and asked them to identify roads in need of bicycle facilities and destinations that they would like to access by bike. The steering committee members now have a copy of the plan and they're reviewing it. They will be asking the respective communities to support their plans and move towards implementation. The plan's recommendations are focused on creating safe connections between existing and planned bicycle facilities so that there is a complete network. Most of the recommendations are included in existing plans that were developed by communities, the county, and the Forest Preserve District, but a few additional routes were identified to create better linkage and give more people access to the bicycle facilities. Formal support for communities affected by this plan will allow communities to apply for grant funding to build these projects. So I'm here asking tonight that when your representative from the steering committee comes before you in the next month or two and hands this copy of this Wayne Township bike plan to you, that you give it serious consideration. There are members from every community on it. Most of the recommendations in here are very low cost, signage, streets, striping. There are some bigger term projects, but with a plan, it's very easy to get funding. This also says that when you go for any bicycle funding plan in the Wayne Township area, you've already done stage one. You've already had a community meeting. You already know which routes are on board. So we're asking for your support when they come to you for this. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner.
My pleasure.
Would anybody else like to address the board at this time?
Okay. Brent Kaiser, 312 Queens Parkway. And I'm here representing the 4th of July Committee. And I'd like to thank those two gentlemen for getting up here and talking because I didn't want to have to follow tick. That just wasn't something that was sounding really good. So I wasn't sure how to approach this, but as you know, we run fireworks every year. This year, the 4th of July is on a Saturday. All of a sudden, for the first time since I've been doing the fireworks, and I don't know about my lovely predecessor that handled it before me, somebody asked about our rain date. It hit me that our rain date would be a Sunday.
Or what?
The rain date would be Sunday if it rained on Saturday. The problem is we usually close at 8 o'clock on Saturday, and going on Sunday is going to mean traffic in the village on a Sunday night at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and late fireworks. So I thought I'd better approach the village and see how that's going to be receptive before we sign that contract and go from there, because otherwise, you know, on normal times it doesn't matter, but this time there's going to be certain areas, and I don't think we've ever approached you about that before. I don't think we ever thought about about rain before.
The last day of the fest this year is Saturday?
It's Sunday. And
Sunday.
Yeah, normally we close at 8, but fireworks don't go till 9:30, so we'd be done about 10:15. They'd be closing, there'd be traffic till about 11 o'clock.
That's just for the rain date, right?
Just for a rain date.
Yep.
Won't mess up school, there's none.
I'd say, why don't we let staff talk about that and see what they're...
Yeah, I think it's more of a question of staff and park police, traffic, and...
I think Mr. Kaiser needs to sign a contract pretty quickly if that's the issue. Is that correct?
I'm in the process of trying to get a contract signed in the next week.
In my opinion, as popular as our fireworks are, I think we would probably all be beheaded if we had any issues with not having them.
Just trying to get a general opinion.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we can take a straw poll of the board and say...
Well, it seems to me we either do it one night or another night.
That's Saturday, and then if the rain date, I don't think it's never been rained out since I've been here, but just in case,
Never been
for one time. Yeah.
Chief,
It won't be rained out this year either.
do you see...
Let's go with that.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I mean, and I know you're going to tell me that you can manage it whichever way it works out, but thoughts, comments?
Do it on a Friday, and then Saturday is the rain day?
No, you do it
We always do it on the 4th.
Yeah.
on the 4th. And
The rains we bring umbrellas?
Otherwise, we go to a later date, like try to get them back for Labor Day.
Let's
or
do
we
it
just-
this way. Does anybody have an objection to having Sunday as the rain date? Speak now and forever hold your peace. All right, you're good.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to address the board at this time? Christmas parties or anything else? Hearing none, we'll move on to the standing committee reports for this evening. The first standing committee report is under Planning and Zoning Committee. Chairman CAMERER.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have nothing under Planning and Zoning this evening.
Thank you, Chairman CAMERER. Next standing committee report is the Building Committee. Chairman Martin.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had one under consent agenda, and I have nothing else.
Thank you, Chairman Martin. Next standing committee report is the Finance and Golf Committee. Chairman Ranke.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have two items on finance and golf this evening. The first item is the auditor's contract. As everyone remembers, we've had sickage for approximately 8 years, and we thought it would be a good idea to have a new set of eyes to look at the books and sort of reset things, take a fresh look at things, so to speak. It's a relatively small niche. Municipal auditing is a relatively small niche. We received 10 bids. They're outlined in your agenda packet. So with that, I move that the village award a 3-year contract to Lauterbach and Hamann at a cost of $123,255 for annual financial audit services.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Ranke, seconded by Trustee CAMERER. Is there any discussion?
One question for the staff. I know, didn't we use Lauterbach a number of years ago? We've never used them. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
A question I had is, I'm assuming they'll do the same presentation similar to what we're used to with sickage, right? Okay. I just think it's a very good idea to change after 8 years.
Right.
I think it's going to be a fresh new set of eyes on the book, so that's great. Any other discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Camerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranke?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Okay, item number 2 is the computer replacement program purchase. Right now, our machines are we're on a 3-year rotation, and now we're on a 4-year rotation. We're looking to replace 34 desktops, computers in an amount not to exceed $30,362. All of the machines that we are going to replace are at least 4 years old. So with that, I move to approve the purchase of 34 computers from Dell through the Midwest Higher Education Compact bid obtained by the State of Illinois in an amount not to exceed $30,362.
Second.
It's moved by Trustee Ranke, seconded by Trustee Martin. Is there any discussion?
We're going to clean out the cores and sell the old ones?
I'm sorry?
We're going to clean out the hard drives and sell the old ones?
We remove the hard drives and destroy them and then sell the other ones, correct.
Is there any way we can push the rotation from 4 years to 5 years?
We used to be on a 3-year cycle, and a couple of years ago we deferred it to a year, so we're now on a 4-year cycle. I really don't think it'd be wise to push it to a 5-year. Going from 3 to 4 years was new for us, and we're still seeing how things work out, but 5 years is, I think, beyond what we should expect.
Okay.
Are these still the old actual desktop boxes?
Correct. They are desktop boxes. We're probably still a few years out from moving to the
minis?
what we call virtual desktops, where you're just having a tiny little box on your computer.
And they're all software is included in this price and everything?
The operating system is correct.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Camerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's all we have for Finance and Golf this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Ranky. Next item on our agenda is under License and Ordinance Committee. Chairman Carbonaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing to report this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Carbonaro. Next item on our agenda this evening is the Police and Health Committee. Chairman Shipman.
Nothing to report tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Shipman. Next item, final item on our standing committee reports is Public Works Committee. Chairman Aaron's.
Thank you. Our first agenda item is the IDNR bike path project bids. On January, we sent a notice to builders in the Examiner soliciting bids for the 2015 IDNR bike path project. We received several bids. We have some, we've got some grants to pay for this. So at this time, and on the recommendation of Mr. Dinges, I move the Village Board award the bid for the 2015 IDNR Bike Path Project to Chicagoland Paving of Lake Zurich, Illinois, in the amount of $69,900.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Aaron's, second by Trustee Camerer. Is there any discussion?
So just to clarify, this is only going to cost the village $8,100? Is that correct? Okay, and then for how many linear feet are we talking about? Right.
One path is 800 feet, and the other one's about 400 feet, and it connects Kohler Fields with the state park and Lakewood's Mill subdivision with the state park.
Great.
Were there any local companies that bid on this? Do we know? I couldn't tell by the... I didn't really see any. Maybe I missed it. I didn't see anything in here but the other...
There were 11 bids, and I don't know if...
I didn't see that in our packet.
There were 8 bids, 11 packets. Right?
Yes, sorry, 8 packets.
A-Lamp is probably the
A-Lamp
closest.
is the closest, and they're not in Bartlett.
There we go. So none of these are Bartlett companies? Right. So the budgeted amount included the grant. We knew we were going to get the grant when we budgeted $108,000? Okay.
Yes.
So,
move ahead with this project until we got the grants.
okay. So technically, we really only had a net impact of $81,000, so that...
8,100.
Or 8,100, so the budgeted amount technically funded by the village was $8,000.
Right.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Camerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Our second agenda item is the 2015 motor fuel tax resolution. For us to be able to spend any money out of the motor fuel tax fund, we need to make a resolution. This year, the funds will be moved will be spent on annual street resurfacing, material testing, crack sealing, salt purchase, and the Stearns Road bike path. So at this time, I move the Village Board approve Resolution 2015-10. I couldn't hear.
10.
A resolution authorizing the use of the motor fuel tax funds in the amount of $1,150,000 for the fiscal year 2015-2016 MFT program to pay for the cost of construction for street resurfacing, material testing, crack sealing, salt purchase, and Stearns bike path, and to authorize the village clerk to sign said MFT resolution.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Aaron's, second by Trustee Martin. Is there any discussion?
Is there any money left over from the Stearns bike path, 200,000, or that's all taken?
From MFT?
Yes.
For this year, I think we're just about going to spend it out. We also have our annual road program, which we spent close to $1 million, and we will continue that as well.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Ahrens?
Yes.
Camerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
That motion carries.
The final agenda item under Public Works is the wastewater treatment plant local limit evaluation project service agreement. Boy, sometimes these agenda items are longer than the actual motion. In conjunction with our efforts to update the village's sanitary sewer and pre-treatment ordinance, a local limits evaluation must be completed in order to determine practical influent wastewater limits for the Bartlett wastewater plant. We have, it's been recommended by the Public Works Director that we hire Trotter and Associates Incorporated in the amount of $28,433 to do this testing and send us on a report. I move the passage of Resolution 2015-11, a resolution approving a professional services agreement with Trotter and Associates Incorporated for the wastewater treatment plant pre-treatment local limits evaluation.
Second.
It's moved by Trustee Aaron, second by Trustee Camerer. Is there any discussion?
You notice this says there will be some additional lab testing fees at $12,000. Is that over and above the $28,000?
Yes, it is. They don't actually do the testing. We send that to our lab that does the testing for our wastewater treatment plant, so that's above and beyond.
Is that $12,000 already in the budget somewhere?
Yes.
There's just a line in your evaluation here that I was a little confused about. It says determination of appropriate limits will both encourage development or growth. I'm not sure I understand how to unpack that.
What this will do is it mainly pertains to our industrial.
Okay.
And in particular, the recent food industrial businesses that are coming into place, Rana and Cheese Merchant. We're going to be looking at our current limits, evaluating what our wastewater treatment plant can actually handle as far as fats, oils, and greases, one of the particular ones, and allow, right now our limit is pretty low. If there's some flexibility that the plant can handle more, then we would look to raise that a little bit, making it a little bit easier for the industrial
This is the one we call FOG, fats, oils, and grease.
Yeah.
And we have been working with our industrial residents out there to do some testing and come up with, because we haven't had those kinds of businesses in Bartlett, and come up with a setting that is more appropriate to what we have now, and allow them to grow and not be held back by our FOG limit. In order to do that, we have to hire a consultant who will look at it carefully, do the testing, and recommend a more appropriate limit. And I think this is something that several of our industries have been waiting for.
Is it a situation where the FOG testing and the treatment plant, are there any of the requirements for the new food industries that could come in changed based on this information? So to what I'm saying is, let's say he comes back and says your capacity is X, but you could increase your capacity and your ability at a higher expense to the village, and then allow other food industries to let more stuff flow through.
What it'll end up doing is how much pre-treatment they need to install. So if, depending on our limit.
And that's really expensive stuff.
Right. Yes. And if we already can treat it, why have separate treatments at the industrial building when we can handle it at our wastewater treatment? That's what the consultant's going to help us
So it gives us a better understanding of the leverage we can have with businesses coming in. Like what they have to buy in order to comply and what we can allow.
Yeah, it's setting
Okay.
a limit that our plant can handle this much. If we were just looking at the fog, our plant can handle this much before it starts to disturb the plant. And if that limit, as long as we set that limit, wherever that ends up being, then industrial will have to look at what their discharge is and put enough pretreatment to get to that limit.
Right.
And right now, it's all based on EPA.
And we think this is going to be a significant economic development incentive that we will be able to have and bring in new business and have been able to set that limit.
Yeah. I would just really strongly encourage after the Rana Pasta incident that we get this right and we know, without any doubts exactly what they need so everybody's on the same page.
That's why we want to get this done. Yep.
I was just going to say that the limits are different for Cook County, set by the MWRD ordinance, for forward, that where waste goes in Kane County, and then our own treatment plant. And they were all over the place. And so we're trying to get an ordinance. We need a study that shows what our sewer treatment plant can handle, essentially, is it, and try and be more fair, equating it and as uniform as can be, given the limits of our it also gives us enforcement rights, so that if they exceed them, we have fines. Rana voluntarily, pump stuff out and spend a lot of money, but we want to have enforcement capability if there's a violation of some of those limits. But yet at the same time reduce the limits to a fair number, so we're not having.
It's a balancing act because you can get an industries coming in saying Bartlett is so critical of what we're dumping, we can't afford to buy the equipment to go in there.
Right.
So that's why it's really important that we pay attention to what these guys are doing. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Camerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
That motion carries. Is that it for you, Chairman Aarons?
That concludes public work for this evening. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chairman Aarons. The next item on our agenda falls under new business. At this point, does anybody have any new business they'd like to bring up?
Yes. We've discussed a couple times adjusting or repealing the utility tax. I would like staff to take a look at one of two ways of doing this. One, reducing it where the revenue for residents is decreased a third, and then gone, or repealing the thing completely over a period of years. I'm not saying all at once. Our anticipated annual revenue is $1,691,000. I think when we set this in motion, we were short $500,000. So it's earning a lot more than what we needed at the time. And I'm not for taking money away from Bartlett, but then again, I'm also not for taxing residents in hard times. And to Valley's credit, every time the budget comes around, she finds money or saves us money. So I'm not trying to tie both hands, but I would like one of two things to happen. Either we repeal this whole thing or we repeal it for the residents, and we have, I don't know how we could, when I talked to Paula, she says she didn't know the industry and commercial sides that donate to this, but it's about 70% residential. So we would still get the money from them, but not from our residents and we just cut it down. Can we work up a plan where we would have something to vote on?
We'd be happy to.
Yeah.
Can we do it by next time? Next meeting?
No.
Just so you know, Trustee Martin, behind the scenes, I've instructed the staff to figure out a way that we can, because we had talked about it in a previous board meeting.
Yes.
So without unloading everything because they aren't prepared yet, but I've asked them to look at ways that we can phase this out.
Okay.
So exactly what you're describing. And as far as I know, Valerie, we've been looking into that, and we've got some of it done, small amount? Yeah, just a
The timing is good because we're going into the budget.
Right, I was just going to make that statement because we have been talking about this for well over a year, so I think the time has in fact come. I think that Trustee Martin makes a great point, and I think for bringing that up, because we've got to act on this, and let's act on it within this next budget cycle.
Great. Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Martin. Anybody else?
And I do have the utmost confidence in your staff's ability to come up with a great solution and one that avoids the gloom and doom, the fear-mongering almost of having to close the police department. I know that we'll avoid that and have something constructive to talk about to really help to ratchet this thing down. Well, no. I mean, because the last discussion was, well, we're going to close the police department in the evenings. Close the front desk down, and that, I think that's a bit extreme. And I think there's plenty of other places that we could make some changes without closing down the police department at night.
Chief, do you need some oxygen?
Any other new business that anybody would like to share? Hearing none, we'll move on to question and answer. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Our honored guest is still in the audience, Tick. Again, a round of applause, I think, for Tick before we adjourn. Thank you for your service. If there's no other things, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. And as long as everybody knows, we're going to be going directly into the Committee of the Whole meeting. And directly following the Committee of the Whole meeting, as a part of that, we'll go into executive session to discuss property acquisition pursuant to Section 2C5 of the Open Meetings Act. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Trustee Martin, seconded by Trustee Carbonaro. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Ahrens? Here. Camerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.